Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Example, here for part 2 of our Jellal and Erza relationship analysis. And oh boy, do we have a fun episode ahead of us tonight. Oh yes, my friends, it's time for the ever so juicy Nirvana arc. Let's start here, why don't we, with Erza racing off to find Jellal. First things first, Jellal is alive, and she thought he was dead. This could easily either be the realization of her wildest dreams, or it could turn the rest of her life into a waking nightmare. Flashes of their priceless, terrifying memories together play over and over again like a loop behind her eyes. And just look at these fantastic expressions. The faces she's making are just deliciously significant, positively dripping with meaning. What if he's back, she's thinking. What if he's back and he's good again? What if she comes face to face with the true Jellal? The Jellal she knew was truly inside him all along. The Jellal who she's loved all of her life. Remember, Erza is aware that Jellal loves her, so if he's back and he's a hero again, what would she do? What would even happen between them? Or what if he's back right nearby and he's still evil? What if he never saved her in the tower at all and he's still a violent, sadistic villain? Either way, how does she face him? All these thoughts and more are still swimming through her head when, suddenly, we hear from Wendy. Yeah, from Wendy. It's just a simple one-line perspective shift, but it works so beautifully well. By the time we return to Erza's perspective, we're greeted by silence as the dust slowly clears, and then there he is, in the flesh. Jellal and Erza are face to face once more. What a magnificent sequence of shots, and what a beautiful panel spread it leads us to. Erza almost can't even believe her eyes, but there he is, staring back at her, mysterious and captivating, just a few short meters away. Where to even begin? Erza calls out to him. That's a good place to start. She looks breathless, but manages to pronounce his name. He answers, calculating as ever. And honestly, these first few shots we get of Jellal and Erza reunited are absolutely brilliant pieces of design work. His expressions intentionally provoke the audience, building tension. His eyes are penetrating, unknowable, searching. So just like Erza, we too have no idea yet whether he's evil or good. We don't know his intentions, and it shows. Erza is stammering, stuttering, and speaking softly. She seems almost dazed, still caught up in unreal disbelief and anticipation. These faces are just great. I mean, that's going to be a trend. You're going to hear that a lot from me, but you can really see her wrestling viscerally with every word, every breath, every heartbeat. Caught between anxiety, determination, reluctant relief, and confusion. To our surprise, Jellal is actually just terrified. In fact, he's slowly panicking. Erza doesn't understand at first. She's still desperately lost in her own emotional turmoil. But all of that goes out the window immediately the moment she hears him beg for his own name, for his own identity. I can't remember a thing. Tears well up in her eyes right away. Her expression has changed, too, abruptly. We can see all the anxiety and confusion and reluctance are gone. Even her indecision is gone. Why? It's because Erza isn't thinking with her head anymore, like she was a moment ago. She was trying to figure everything out, make sense of things, make sense of her feelings. But right now, she's reacting with her heart. We see passion in her face. She's stunned. We see barely subdued affection mixed with touches of grief and a longing to comfort him. He keeps coming back to her name, the name Erza, which he says is the only thing he can even remember. In response, she finds her nerve again, and Erza declares herself to be, well, Erza. It's important to mention at this point that the panel logic here is encouraging us to consider believing Jellal, to feel sympathy for this formerly heartless villain. And, that immediately makes us suspicious that he's lying again, that he's tricking Erza again. She herself seems to be afraid of that, even though his stirring, impassioned words are clearly very affecting to her. Erza isn't sure, at first, whether or not she can let herself believe him. Obviously, that manipulative trick he pulled on her in the Tower of Heaven is still on her mind, as it should be, and yet, amazingly, just like last time, Erza's heart is stronger than her mind. Again! After that one initial momentary outburst of doubt and anger, her expression softens almost instantly. Notice how fast her body language changes from confrontational to receptive. She lowers her eyes, trembling. She's second-guessing her own doubts. Yes, she immediately starts to betray the fact that she actually does believe him. Whether or not it's a good idea, once again, she simply can't help herself. Erza's just too desperate to believe in him. As always, so desperate for that chance to really save him, that if Jellal had been lying, and this was another dastardly trick, she would have fallen for it, hook, line, and sinker, in the exact same way, again. Thankfully, for the sake of Erza's heart at least, it's not a trick, not this time. Jellal quickly activates a powerful self-destruct magic spell, making Nirvana the target. All the while, Erza still can't quite seem to fully wrap her mind around what's happening. It's so sudden, her feelings are so tangled up in one another, but slowly, surely, we do see the beginnings of the implications of this properly set in. Jellal is alive. And he's right in front of her, being a hero. His memories are gone, yes, clearly. She's beginning to realize that he could be her Jellal again, the true Jellal. She's becoming aware of that possibility in the back of her mind. We can see the gears turning. She's almost hesitant to even consider it, but this really could be her chance. The second chance she never even let herself believe she would get. And this instantly shifts Erza's whole internal conflict. She doesn't want to be able to forgive him this easily, but she can't help it. In fact, by the very next page, forgiving Jellal or not already doesn't even matter. She realizes he's trying to kill himself, and her emotions fully take over. Stunned affection, longing, and passion. That's all she has left now. We can read it in her face. Any last traces of anger, conflict, or hate have vanished completely. They're all replaced by more passion, more and more passion, desperate passion, painful love, need, desire, fear, grace, attachment. Her eyes really say it all right here. Just look at them. I really couldn't be articulate enough to convey properly the sense you would get from just looking in her eyes. You can see it. But from Jellal's perspective, this is unbearable. He knows what he's done. It's killing him. He knows what he's put her through. And yet she still seems to care so much about him that she can't let go. And in many ways, he's right when he offers her freedom. She will never be free so long as Jellal lives. But of course, at the very thought, at the mere notion, the very idea of the alternative alone, Erza simply breaks. Absolutely, positively breaks. She's sobbing yet again, and she rushes to his side. The panel logic is beyond explicit now. It's all too clear. She's thinking that she can't lose him. She can't. Not like this, not now. Not when they finally had a chance, when he finally had a real chance. And her actual words are just more reflections of that. Everything she screams at him here can be translated as basically, live. Please live. And thankfully, he does. Alrighty, that's about it for part 2 of the Jellal and Erza relationship analysis. I expect this to end up being about a 5 or 6 part series maybe, but I hope you're having fun so far and will stick with me through the rest. Lots of good stuff to cover next time, after all. We're doing Erza's quote-unquote confession, Jellal's arrest, and most importantly perhaps, their fateful kiss on the beach. Catch you then.